Welcome, Arthur, and thank you for joining me for this interview.
You're welcome.
So, Arthur, you are one of our honorable mentions this year for this year's Juried show, which is currently hung in the Freed Family Gallery as well as the Rankin Gallery. And before we get started, I just wanted to let folks know how they can see your work as well as all the other pieces that are in our Juried show this year. And our gallery is located at 115 Eastern Avenue. It's in the Catamount Arts building. And the gallery is open during our normal business hours, which are Wednesday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. And your particular piece is the only piece that is visual art. It is film. And so your piece can be seen. It is being shown before all of our films, which happen on Wednesdays and Sundays, 1:30 and 7 p.m. And then Thursday through Saturday at 7 p.m. Folks can come in half an hour early to our film screenings and enjoy your piece right before every single film that we show here in our theater. So I wanted to say congratulations to you for the honorable mention, Arthur, and thank you so much for submitting a piece to our Juried show. And I wanted to start out by just asking you and letting our viewers know where you're from and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, where I'm from is always a little tricky because I've moved a bit growing up. One answer is suburbia, the suburban Washington, D.C., and then suburban Detroit, and then suburban Chicago. So it's sort of Chicago, but it was a suburb through high school. And then I've lived in a number of places in the East, Rochester, New York for a long time, where I actually went to photography school, 2 different schools in Rochester. And then I've lived in various other places in Vermont for a total of about 25 years through 4 stays here, four times living here.
So 25 years all added together, it sounds like.
Right.
Yeah. So when did you start creating art?
I would say it was the summer after high school. In high school, I played around a little bit, in an art class, played a little metal sculpture, learned basic welding. But the summer after high school, my grandfather gave me a camera to take to Belgium, where I was doing I had a student exchange program. I spent about 8 weeks in Belgium, living in the family, and then getting together and traveling around and, experiencing Belgium and other European countries nearby. And I started out going to the public markets, outdoor markets with my camera, and really just got excited about mainly photographing people and just the vendors and the people, sitting on benches and so on. And that's when I really got excited about photography.
So it sounds like, and I'll ask you, but so did you attend school for art, or it sounds like you were self-taught and led by passion, really?
Well, no, I did end up going to photography school. I went to, actually, just briefly, in college, you had kind of not a straight path through college, say that. I went to various colleges and just was really getting into more and more into photography, and really all I wanted to do was take photography classes. And I was at the University of New Hampshire and basically took all the classes they had, and then I decided I was going to apply to a photography workshop in Rochester, New York. So I dropped out of UNH and then put together a portfolio and applied to the Visual Studies Workshop, a small visual arts school in Rochester, and ended up going there for 2 years. And then I left, another trip back to Vermont and Boston, and then a friend convinced me to come to RIT for the graduate program. So he was teaching there, and so I went there and got an MFA in photography, and that's actually where I learned video production. Was at RIT, and since then I've been working in video production and photography, and and doing my artwork in both.
And that's a great segue into my next question, which is, what is it about that medium, particularly videography, that engages you?
Well, I love stories. I love telling stories. I love. I've done some short documentaries, and there's just a different experience when you can interview people. You have sound, you have motion. It's a different experience of whatever you're trying to convey. I still very much love still photography, and I'm very into it. That's kind of my first love. Mm-hmm. But with video, I was just fascinated by the different kinds of things you can show, the different experiences, and different kinds of stories you can tell. And then with the, with this piece, the water journey, it's done in slow motion. Mm-hmm. So that adds another, whole effect and impact. And what I love about that is that it slows down the imagery so you can just see far more detail. And this is, it's just water, but it's pretty, well, you could call it trippy, you could call it mind bending, but it looks, kind of otherworldly in a way, but it's really just water slowed down so you can see the details, the ripples, the light, and so on.
Yeah, and I would leave it up to the viewers to decide, if it's trippy or whatever adjective they can come up with while watching it. And I've watched it several times, and I actually teared up. So I'm not. It's amazing what it evokes, and like you said, it's just water, and it's something that surrounds us everywhere all the time. And I guess the one thing that you did to it was slow it down, but also you added music to the background. Can you tell us about that score and the folks that you worked with?
Yes, I knew I wanted to have music with it, and I began by just searching music online and trying different pieces with it until looking for something that felt right. And this past fall, I met Greg Rothwell, where we were working together, and found out he was a musician. And when he found out about the project, he was excited about it and said, I really want to. I'd love to write a score or a soundtrack or soundscape, is what he kind of calls it, for that. And so there was some back and forth. I showed him or sent him some music that I thought worked, to give him a kind of a sense of what I was looking for. And then he put together a piece, and then I by the way, I had never really collaborated with someone before, so that was that was a fun and interesting process. So he sent me something, and then I requested some tweaks. I said, I really like it, but there's one or two parts that I don't really work for me, and so he reworked that, and then came up with the finished track for it. And yeah, I think it works well, and certainly a major part of the effect of the whole piece.
Yeah, and what's wonderful about the piece and what's wonderful about it being here at Catamount is we do have our theaters where folks can sit down and really have an intimate experience with that piece. And it's about 9 minutes long. And is there something that what did it mean to you to make this? How did it even come about?
Well, it really came about, I mean, one answer is that for another project I was doing, I thought that slow motion, would work well. This was going back a few years. And so I bought this camera that is capable of shooting at very high speed, which then played at normal speed, slows it down. Mm-hmm. So I was shooting at, most of it was 480 frames a second. So that, and then you play at what is considered kind of normal video, 60 frames a second. So I'm only recording 4 seconds, but it plays back as 32 seconds. And then the other, significant part is my love of water. I mean, I've always loved water. I love to be on and around water, and Pisces all the way. I'm all about water. And so I spend time in water, I kayak. And so I bring my camera out kayaking and just, began shooting the water in slow motion and really became very mesmerized, because as I'm shooting it, like I said, it only records 4 seconds, but as it's recording, I see in the camera the slowed down version of 32 seconds, and I'm watching that whole thing. So I'm watching this, the slowed down version of it, and I found it very mesmerizing, and then ended up putting together the sequence. And I decided that I didn't want to just have random shots, just kind of random, whatever you call it, trippy or mesmerizing shots that were just, taken anywhere. I decided I wanted it to be centered on a location.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose Wolcott Pond, where I'd shot quite a bit. And so I think just that, knowing that it's one place, adds another dimension to it. So it's about place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to ask you about Wolcott Pond and why that was chosen, and it does lend so much depth. And just quickly go back to the functionality of the video camera. I mean, what it does is it gives us the opportunity to a perspective that our human eye just does not have. And I'm just curious, how, with your love of water, how long did it take for you to have that experience with what, I mean, you've had that experience with water, being on it and around it, but that particular experience of having it catch your eye and then have this project be born out of it?
Well, it probably at some point, in films or wherever, seen at least short clips of slow motion water, sometimes in sports, a kayaker coming down a waterfall, they'll slow it down, but not close up like this, and not really focused on the just the water and the details. So I wasn't really planning on this. I had the camera, I was shooting some still photos and some slow motion, and then I began to kind of refine it, shooting first far away, and then the closer I got, the more excited I got about the imagery, and the more it felt like it was really transforming the water in a way, or just allowing us to see it, like you said, in a way that we can't see without that device to slow it down, because it's impossible to see all that detail. Is just too fast.
Yep. Well, it's a wonderful piece. And like I said at the top of our interview, it is being shown every day that we are open here at the Arts Center at Catamount Arts. And so folks can come in, and it is run at least 3 times before every single film. So they have the opportunity to see it not only once, twice, 3 times, if and when they come in to see a film in our theater. Is there anything that you want folks to take away at the end of our time together here about the piece and something to look for, or any last words on your work?
Yeah, I'd say just let yourself be into it and undistracted. And when I've seen it twice now in the theater, I sit in the second row. So I love it seeing it big and really enveloping. At the back of the theater, be kind of a different experience. But I guess just let yourself get into it and experience it. That's really my intention, is for it to not be a intellectual exercise, but more an experience.
Yeah. And I feel like, because I know, and I think probably every artist who is watching this knows that feeling when you found something. And I feel like that feeling is being conveyed through your work by being in this particular theater and in this being shown in this way. So I do hope folks come and check it out. The Juried show is hung and on display until April 10. So there's plenty of time to come out and experience all the work that is on the walls in the Fried Gallery, the Rankin Gallery, as well as our theater, where you can see Arthur's piece. So thank you so much, Arthur, for sharing the behind the scenes look and your philosophy and process with this wonderful piece that is here at Catamount Arts. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Molly. Enjoyed it.